After completing the peak pilgrimage, Rachel and I stayed on for an extra day to discover Eyam's history. Eyam is a charming little village nestled in the Hope Valley. However, it will be forever associated with the Bubonic Plague, known as the Black Death. In 1665, the plague was sweeping through London when a tailor from Eyam ordered a box of cloth to make clothing. Unfortunately, the box contained not only cloth, but a deadly cargo, fleas infected with the plague virus. The tailor's assistant opened the box and hung the cloth up to dry. Shortly afterwards he became ill and died, followed by his 2 stepsons, his neighbours, and within days the tailor himself. The local rector, the Reverend William Mompesson, persuaded the villagers to quarantine themselves to prevent the disease spreading to neighbouring villages and the larger towns. Coins were placed into holes drilled into stones, like this one on the boundary between Eyam and Stony Middleton. Vinegar was poured into the holes to ward off infection, and food and supplies were left in return. In the 14 months it took for the plague to run its course, 260 people out of the population of 800 were dead, including the Reverend Mompesson's wife. However, the villagers' selfless act of quarantine meant that the plague was contained and did not spread beyond Eyam's borders, no doubt saving hundreds of lives. A good place to start uncovering Eyam's history is its informative museum. You can buy your own fleas, lice, rats, and even a bubonic plague microbe. Look at that! This piece of furniture belonged to the Reverend Mompesson. This is an actual letter written to the bishop by Mompesson after his wife died. He feared he had died too and leave his children orphaned, and implored the bishop to take care of them. Mompesson survived the plague and later moved to a different parish. And George Vickers, I believe he was the chap that brought the plague to Eyam because he ordered some material for haberdashery that came with infected fleas. So it was kind of his fault. Mary survived but lost 13 relatives. You can't imagine that.
Actually, we should remember tragedy as much as we should celebrate the good stuff.
Definitely. There's so much tragedy here. So many people died in these cottages here. There's these plaques that are remembrance to them, all in the plague of 1665 and 66. There's 9 members of the Fort family, all died here. And the Hawksworth family. Jane lost 25 relatives, including her husband and their son. So tragic. In the Bagshaw house, the home of the Siddle family. There's 10 people died here. Well, 9 people, but Joseph, aged 3, seemed to be the sole survivor, poor little mite. This is the Miners' Arms Croft, where many of the villagers living at this end of the village were buried. The mural stones were removed, but several were inscribed with the letter H, so they were probably the Heald family. 4 members who died in 1666, within a month of each other. That's where the Riley family would have lived. We're going up towards Riley graves because the the Hancock family who lived in the farmhouse. Mrs. Hancock, she lost all but one of her children and her husband over a period of several days, and she brought them up here to this lonely spot and buried them. And after the plague ended, she went to live with her eldest son in Sheffield. It must have been horrendous, and I can really understand her not wanting to stay in the village. Such sad stories. This is the Riley graves. Sacred to the memory of the Hancock family. The church has a beautifully illustrated memorial book listing all the plague victims, and a special stained glass window has been created. At times of the plague, to reduce the spread of infection, the church services used to be held here in Crooked Delph to reduce the spread of infection. Mompesson used to preach from here, so he could be seen and he could be heard. The villagers could keep their distance. Got an impressive little cave. Although it's important to learn the story of the plague, Eyam isn't just about those dark days. It's managed to come back from the days of the plague and is now a thriving community with lots of other history to explore. Eyam celebrates the Derbyshire tradition of well dressing every August, and we were lucky enough to watch the dressings actually being made. We've just seen them doing the well dressings, because it's going to be Eyam Wake Week this week, which is where they remember and have a bit of a festival, remember the plague, and do the well dressings. So it's really intricate. They do loads of outlined by seeds, and then they press loads of flowers and leaves on to make the pictures, and they'll have to be finished by tomorrow night. So it's a really lovely old Peak District tradition. An old Eyam custom. They obviously roast a sheep every September here. Poor sheep.
Well, I'd imagine they kill it first. So Steph was caught misbehaving last night. She drank far too much cider, drunk and disorderly, and the local law enforcement have decided to put her in the stocks for punishment, and she has to do her penitence until midnight tonight. Being naughty the other night, drinking too much beer.